You're watching Hindustan Times, and I'm Aditi Prasad. A lewd Instagram group discussing rape and all kinds of other shocking stuff, and the group run by Indian teenagers has sent shockwaves or ripples across the country. Yes, I'm talking about the Boys Locker Room, the Instagram group which talked about gang rape of schoolgirls. The group was exposed, of course, this weekend, and one Delhi schoolboy has reportedly been taken into custody. And there are about 20 others that have been identified by the police as they continue their investigations. Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights has taken suo moto cognizance of the incident and, of course, is demanding strict action. I'm joined by Jyoti Rathi, member DCPCR, for more. Jyoti, tell us how you came to know about the incident and the action that the DCPCR has taken till now.
Hi Aditi. We came to know from a Facebook post that there are some group named Boys Locker Room that they are sharing some messages and they are sharing the pictures of girl and they are sharing some nude pictures of girl and they are giving uh, very very harmful comments on the girl. So immediately we took cognizance and I shared with my chairperson, Mr. Ramesh Negi, and we decided to give a notice to the cyber police as well as the DCP South that to take immediate lawful action against those boys. बट इसके साथ मुझे ये भी कहना है कि स्ट्रिक्ट एक्शन के साथ साथ हमें ये भी समझना होगा कि इन सब के पीछे रूट कॉज क्या है, क्या मानसिकता काम कर रही थी इन बच्चों की। अब पिछले 40 दिन से 40 डेज से लॉकडाउन चल रहा है तो ऑब्वियस बात है सभी बच्चे ऑनलाइन इस समय ज़्यादा है और ऐसा नहीं है कि ये फर्स्ट टाइम कोई ऐसा इंसिडेंट हुआ है जिसमें बच्चों ने ऑनलाइन इस तरीके के कमेंट्स किए हैं या कोई पिक्चर्स या पोर्नोग्राफी इस तरह से शेयर हुआ है। लेकिन हमें यहाँ समझना ज़रूरी है कि ये कहाँ से मोटिवेशन बच्चों को मिला। ऐसा भी हो सकता है कोई ना कोई अडल्ट इसके पीछे हो जो बच्चों को एक्टिव करके वहाँ से उसके बाद उसने खुद को रिमूव कर दिया हो। और रूट कॉज जानने की ज़रूरत है, क्या ये वो बच्चे हैं जो 20 बच्चे हैं, क्या इनकी पहले कभी कोई कंप्लेन इस तरीके की आई है और अगर आई है तो क्या स्कूल ने पेरेंट्स के साथ कम्युनिकेशन किया या पेरेंट्स ने कभी कम्युनिकेट करने की कोशिश करी टीचर्स से। जो स्कूल है और घर है ये वो पहली संस्था है जहाँ से हम पहचानते हैं कि क्या सिम्टम आ रहे हैं बच्चों के। कुछ भी सडन नहीं होता है, कभी भी हम लोग गलत सोचने की कोशिश करते हैं कि अचानक से हो गया, अचानक कभी कुछ नहीं होता। तो हमें जानना ज़रूरी है कि घर में क्या माहौल है, पेरेंट्स किस तरीके से बात करते हैं, विमेन रिस्पेक्ट पे सबकी क्या सोच है, कंसेंट पे कभी बात होती है कि नहीं होती घरों में या स्कूल में। और सेक्स एजुकेशन के नाम पे जो हम वी ऑलवेज रेज अवर आईब्रोज, तो बहुत ज़रूरत है इस समय बात करने की कि बच्चे क्या सोच रहे हैं, बच्चों की मानसिकता कहाँ जा रही है। तो रेपिस्ट कह देने से, उनको फांसी पर लटका देने से समस्या हल नहीं होने वाली है।
Uh, Thank you for your thing. I would like to bring Dr. Samir Parekh into the conversation at this point. Dr. Parekh, what she's saying, Jyoti is saying that we need to understand the mindset that is actually that is leading to this. So she's saying not punishment but changing of attitudes is the answer. Do you believe, these schoolboys, they of course were very casually talking about rape, sexual objectification, about and slut shaming these schoolgirls in this chat room. Many of them who were, apparently kept there against their will. According to you, what has led to this sort of syndrome in this entire conflict?
See, I'm a mental health practitioner and I've been working with schools now for over 2 decades. Every time something like this happens, it feels a sense of void, you know, almost at the level that one feels that what have we been doing? I'm the last person to point fingers at others, right? I don't think that's a solution. I don't think this has anything to do with the present situation. I don't think the lockdown has any role to play. I don't think this is sudden, and I quite agree to the previous speaker that this would have been happening for a substantial period, and it is happening. I think we are a hibernating society that just likes to sleep over reality,
Right.
and we wake up when something happens. It shakes us up. We have intellectual discussions. We sleep, and we wait for something worse to happen to wake us up again because the same thing will not wake us up again. What is the surprise here? What is the shock here? We need to really first ask ourselves before we decide on what to do. Uh, Partly agree to the fact that there is a school environment and the home environment, but I think we have started becoming a little bit more critical about parents and the environment. I think we need to understand the social milieu we live in. The milieu also has internet, has smartphones, has television, has broadcast happening to you unfiltered in
Right.
any which way that you want. You have young children on a social media handle, right? Doing things. Where is the responsibility of social media handles and agencies? Where is the collective responsibility of our educational system to value life skills? Please understand this is not about sex education, right? This is as much about media literacy, which means media will give you things that are not in your control. How do you be socially responsible? It's also about gender sensitization. You do not want a world where children have stereotypical gender views, where children are objectifying because children are learning from adults. The adults are all around them. Yes,
Right.
they may be at home, yes, they may be at school, but they are largely also in the society. And there is so much of unfiltered media with the name within the wheels of creative freedom, and with the fact that you can have almost access to whatever you want. It's a multiple level problem. And frankly, first of all, as far as these children are concerned, I would even empathize with them. These are children, right? This is not a 40-year-old who's lost his track. This is somebody who's not reached 18, right? This is somebody who still is finding his own space in society. You train these kids, right? Bring empathy, bring responsibility, reprimand to the level that responsible decision making happens. But be very clear, when you see something, it's invariably going to be the tip of the iceberg, which so happened to be seen by you. Not because it was an out of the blue experience, which is a rare phenomena. Let's not fool ourselves. Adults need to understand what is education, what education means in today's time. Trigonometry, calculus,
Right.
civics, what is it? So you bring that component which brings gender equality, responsible decision making, yes, components of sexuality, sex education, family life education, body image, self esteem, respect, peer pressure, social media, media literacy. These need to become integral part of our education system, even if it is at the cost of 20 or 25 days of syllabus.
What I'm hearing you say, sir, what I'm hearing you say, and I want to bring in Jyoti Rathi at this point also. What I'm hearing you say is that schools also, as a society, we of course need to take charge, but they're getting the society to change the attitudes of youngsters on their own is obviously going to be it's just a thing in the air. Right now, in terms of concrete action on the ground, as to how do we start changing attitudes and mindsets where rape and raping a fellow school girl or raping a friend is not uttered casually in that manner. So how does where do what role should the schools be playing in this entire exercise?
Just one thing that comes to my mind while you are saying this. Look at some of the songs that are there and out there in the world, right? Look at some of the lyrics of the songs, right? Look at the role models languages, right? Look at some of the streaming shows. Look at all of that, right? We must understand, where are the children learning from? They've not just born where the DNA doesn't have this. It's been brought by the adults around them. So yes, schools should do something, yes, but society also needs to support. So what happens with us is, either you blame the parents or you blame the teachers. The blame is not need to be there. We should be ashamed at ourselves.
Right.
We should be ashamed at ourselves. Me as a healthcare practitioner, you as a media representative, you as a person representing, we all need to be ashamed at ourselves for failing our generations, creating an environment which allows these things to happen unfiltered, That's the question that should haunt us and should not let us sleep until we bring the change.
Right. And in a globalized world, where, as you pointed out right at the beginning, where internet is at the drop of a, at the click of a button, the world of information is available to us, and social media proliferating and the social media abuse that's happening these days. So all of that combined makes it even more difficult. But let me just come back to, let's say, concrete actions that we can start thinking of. Okay, let's say one, two, three, four. What are those couple of steps that we need to start taking immediately, as from the school side as well as from the parent side, that need to be taken immediately? To sort of at least start. It's not a one-day process, but at least start the process of changing these mindsets, where dating is casual, where in a society where we are not thinking in terms of making our that violence, sexual violence, is actually perceived as some sort of a heroic deed rather than the perverseness for what it is. And let me come to you, Jyoti, with that. Yeah.
अदिति, आई जस्ट वांट टू से कि एक मैनहुड की एक परिभाषा बनी हुई है सोसाइटी में, मतलब कौन होगा मर्द, वो बेसिकली बच्चों पर प्रेशर डालता है। जरूरी नहीं है सभी इसी सोच के साथ यहाँ काम कर रहे हो सकता है इसमें से एक या दो इस तरीके की मोटिवेशन के साथ काम करो, लेकिन जो साथ में और बच्चे थे वो पीयर प्रेशर की वजह से इसमें साथ में इन्वॉल्व होते चले गए। और जो पीछे हटने की कोशिश करता है उसको एक तरह का नया टैबू कर देना, उसको इस तरीके का इस तरह के वर्ड से इस्तेमाल करना, वो भी बहुत मैटर करता है कि हमारे यहाँ मैनहुड की क्या परिभाषा है। घरों में हम कंसेंट पे कभी बात नहीं करते, गर्ल रिस्पेक्ट पे हम लोग कभी बात नहीं करते, और जब कभी हमें स्कूल से बुलाया जाता है तो पेरेंट्स जनरली डोंट हैव टाइम टू इंटरेक्ट विद द टीचर्स। पेरेंट टीचर मीटिंग को हम बहुत लीस्ट प्रायोरिटी पे रखते हैं। इसके अलावा भी जब कभी कोई और बातचीत होती है तो हम कितना ध्यान देते हैं कि हमारे बच्चे जब खाली होते हैं तो वो क्या कर रहे होते हैं। सिर्फ स्मार्टफोन दे देने से, गाड़ी देने से, लैपटॉप दे देने से हमारी ड्यूटी एज अ पेरेंट भी पूरी नहीं होती। और स्कूल में सिर्फ फीस दे देना भी एक तरह से पेरेंटिंग नहीं है। तो डॉक्टर जो है मीटिंग डॉक्टर जो कह रहे हैं मैं उनसे एग्री करती हूँ कि अब ये कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेने का टाइम है। और अब एकदम से हम लोग जागे शेकन हुए उसके बाद हम वापस पूरा सोसाइटी सो जाता है, फिर से जो है चर्चा बंद हो जाती है, कॉन्वर्सेशंस खत्म हो जाते हैं। तो इट्स अ लॉन्ग टाइम प्रोसेस, और अब अगर हम शुरू हुए तो हमें इसको दूर तक ले जाने की जरूरत है, बातचीत करने की जरूरत है।
I want to ask you another thing, about this. We discussed this to a certain extent, but this overexposure to technology and gadgets, you know, is that also, has that also played a role in desensitizing our teenagers today?
Yes.
Yes. Overexposure. Dr. Nitin, you want to say something? You want to add?
So there is an unfiltered exposure without any media literacy training. So what is happening is you have an exposure, but you have not been empowered with the skills to deal with this exposure. You don't have enough role models who are in the same space bringing some sensibility to you. It is this combination which is hurting us. And as an educational system, we are losing ourselves in subjects, not realizing that making of personalities is why children go to school, not for percentages and grades and entrance exams. They would happen in
I,
any case.
hmm. In some of the posts, I was going through some of the posts and was quite, taken aback by the hypersexuality and violence that suffused some of these comments. There was a rape incident in the national capital not too long ago, and the entire, uh, country seems to be on a candlelight vigil to sort of make a case for justice for Nirbhaya became the beacon word everywhere, and of course the culprits were eventually hanged, and the juvenile, of course, was went to a juvenile home instead, who was apparently the cruelest of the rapists, and it sort of brings to my mind. I mean, obviously, we can't call these children, these teenagers, rapists yet. They were just indulging in some talk. But this is the kind of behavior that eventually leads to, something that would eventually lead to, maybe gruesome crimes in the in the near future or distant future. While you're talking, you're also getting live comments and a lot of, from people, because we're live on all our social platforms. And a lot of them are, sort of pointing these things out, and therefore I'm saying these things to you. Another comment that has come in is that problem is not with the kids, it's with the parents who don't know what is wrong and what is right. If their kids want something without even thinking for a second, there is a rush to fulfill that. This, especially with now in metros where both parents are working. So how much of the blame should be apportioned? Yes, I understand where you're coming from, Dr. Parekh, that it's the society as a whole which has become more violent and therefore explicit, and therefore that those same values are being transcended into these teenagers. But what do you say for the parents? Because they spend the maximum time apart from the school, obviously, and their peers, the maximum time these kids are spending at home.
I don't think
So
so. I don't think so. I actually don't think so. I don't think children are spending so much time with parents. I think that's an absolute myth which needs to be completely broken. Right? And that's why I'm coming back to what I said. You need to look at skills for life. And one of these skills for life is building relationships, meaningful, valuable relationships, which includes relationship with your parents. Right? And what Ms. Jyoti was saying was absolutely spot on, that there is a peer pressure. You have to understand that
Right.
peer dynamics are playing on children. They are playing on children because other forces, which are adults, including parents, you, me, teachers, everybody else, are not giving them the skills to deal with peer pressure. If you don't empower and then you start filtering for reasons, let's not allow to believe ourselves that there is any parent in the world who would be okay with a behavior which is in any way having a violence or violent related fantasy or any thoughts, irrespective of the gender, in any child. There is no parent. The
Right.
parent would not also sleep like you and I should not sleep, right?
Absolutely. No, in fact, this is every parent's probably worst nightmare.
मैम मुझे लगता है कल्प्रिट यहाँ कोई भी नहीं है, कल्प्रिट ना पेरेंट है, ना बच्चे हैं, ना कुछ है, लेकिन कलेक्टिवली जो अगर पेरेंट टाइम भी दे रहे हैं तो हमें समझना पड़ेगा जो क्वालिटेटिव टाइम हमने अपने बच्चों को कितना दिया। आप 8 घंटे भी अपने बच्चे के साथ हैं, लेकिन आप सिर्फ फिजिकली साथ हैं, आप मेंटली उस बच्चे के साथ नहीं है। हर बार हर दिन बच्चा कोई आपको मैसेज देता है, कोई हिंट देता है कि बच्चा क्या सोचता है, बच्चा क्या करता है। और ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि पेरेंट और टीचर उन सिम्टम्स को, उन बातों को, उन हिंट को समझते हैं कि नहीं समझते, और समझने के बाद एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं देना, बस बच्चे को डांट के भगा देना या कई बार बच्चों पर हाथ उठा देना, वो भी बहुत नेगेटिव मैसेज देता है कि बच्चे हर बार कुछ कहना चाहते हैं और अपनी बात, और जो अर्ध कच्चा ज्ञान वो इंटरनेट से लेते हैं वो कई बार आपके साथ शेयर करने की भी कोशिश करते हैं, लेकिन एज अ पेरेंट और एज अ टीचर हम कभी भी सुनने को तैयार नहीं होते। तो बहुत ज़रूरी है इस समय जो हुआ है कि पेरेंट्स से बात किया जाए, स्कूल में बात किया जाए, और यह भी देखा जाए, ये भी इम्पोर्टेंट है कि पेरेंट और स्कूल का कम्युनिकेशन कितना होता है और आज तक हिस्ट्री में कितना हुआ है। सिर्फ वर्कशॉप करा देने से, सेमिनार्स करा देने से, कलेक्टिवली कई बार पेरेंट्स ग्रुप में नहीं शेयर करते हैं आपके साथ अपने कंसर्न।
Right. So, Dr. Parekh, I have one last probably point from you, if I may, about the role of the social media per se. Let's say an Instagram in this case, where this group was blooming and looming for the last some time. Facebook, of course, has responded to the entire controversy after the Delhi Commission of Women wrote to Facebook, which is the parent company of Instagram, in which the group was, and they have responded by saying that we absolutely do not allow for behavior that promotes sexual violence or exploits anyone, especially women and young children, and have actioned content violating our community standards as we were made aware of it. And of course, they go on to write a couple of more lines. But bottom line is that they say that they are ensuring that their community can express themselves in a safe and respectful way is one of their top priorities. This is according to a Facebook spokesperson in a comment. Now, what role should the social media themselves be playing? You have interacted with a lot of schools, you've interacted with a lot of children, and the teenagers, of course, when you advise them. But what do you feel from the social media per se? What should these companies be doing to make their places, their environment more secure?
Difficult one to actually answer without being cynical or critical, but I'll
Yeah.
try and do that. Uh, I think any platform which is used by children, which in any which way allows any communication which can prove unhealthy or detrimental to the well-being of children, that platform needs to find a way to ensure that at the right start at this communication there is a red flag policy which ensures prevention of any kind and continuation of any kind of this, and there needs to be a mechanism. That's just one side of it. Second is, I think all social media platforms need to raise the bar of their responsibility, responsible communication, especially towards young people, have zero tolerance towards abusive, violent negativity, no matter from where it comes. But having said that, I'm not sure how much this will actually happen. I feel if society does not figure out the right approach to education, we have a problem on our hands, because what we see now will only be more unfiltered in years to come. Look at our narratives on mainstream entertainment, right? What have we seen in the last decade? Your bar is becoming lower and lower and lower, right? Accept it. Objectification, gender inequality, gender insensitive related behavior is all around us. So I am very less optimistic when it comes to what media and social media would do. My optimism is not there. I don't know how else to put this. My only hope is in the educational system, the pillars of which are parents, responsible adults, educational boards, educational systems, civil society, healthcare providers, NGO sector. All of these need to figure out a way to empower children with life skills, make life skills one of the biggest, important, integral parts of our education. You have a child in school for about 13 odd years. You have 13 years to work with the child on all these things. That when children come out, they don't come like what we become. Because that's a scary thought. The last thing I want is a child to become like me or you. So we as adults have failed our children. So and there are not enough role models for them. So we need to help them find their role models, help them empower and make a better life for themselves, because we are failing them here.
Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. From what I understand and from what we've discussed so far, the boys' locker room controversy has, of course, shocked the conscience of the nation. But our panelists, of course, believe that there is nothing to be shocked about this entire incident. This is an incident of our making, of the society's making. And we as a society are the only ones who can sort of bring an end to this sort of mindset that seems to be fast becoming fast becoming what the norm among teenagers. And we of course are the ones who are responsible, and we need to make amends by inculcating life skills as parents, as teachers, as civil society, as responsible adults, and make sure that we are bringing out the next generation sort of becomes upstanding citizens with the right moral compass, and where violence, especially sexual violence of the nature that we saw in this entire incident, does not become a norm and does not become a standard operating procedure for many people. Thank you so much, Mr. Parekh and Jyoti Rathi, for joining us in this broadcast. We'll keep coming back to you with more updates. Keep watching Hindustan Times.
Thank you.